common unity in terms of man functioning, right? But I think that, don't you think that environment does place, environment, history, culture, all these strange jackets that are placed upon us from birth, right? And in many cases are very, very hard to shake off, because obviously the people that live at the top of the hill look at the people at the bottom of the hill, and that's their separation. You know, the people that live on an island and people live on the mainland, there's a degree of separation. Don't you think that, like you yourself, you have traveled around the world, okay? And for someone that hasn't traveled around the world, they can't see beyond the divisions. And many times when you go to places of conflict, I'm sure you probably say, okay, here we are, we're in this city, and these people don't get on with these people, and these people are saying these people are this, and these people saying these people are that, and I've seen this all around the world. But for them, that conflict and that disparity and that argument is so real, and they haven't had the world vision that you've had. So how do you then try and, I suppose, locate the idea of peace to their particular situation in order to try and bring about some form of positive solution?
Well, nobody would consider a correctional institution to be the place to go again and get inspired. You know, I would think that would be one place where you wake up one morning and you feel absolutely hopeless.
Yeah.
To go into the most hopeless place, hopeless, where you're not getting out for 10 years, 11 years, that's it. You're in. This is what you're going to do. You have a wish, well, wish it away. You know, this is who you are. You are a number. You will respond to the number. You will come when the number is called. These are the bars. These are the places. And stop being human. Just be exactly what we tell you to be. So now, how is it possible that those people find hope?
I think I mean, I myself, right, I was part of I work a lot in prisons. I do like creative writing courses, and I was part of a BBC Radio 4 show where we went into correctional institutions up and down England, and we spoke to prisoners. And it's it's quite amusing that you know, obviously you've got the guys that are writing these, you know, these poems that are sort of like, here I am behind 4 bars, nobody knows, I can't see the stars. You know, people are writing stuff like that. But there was this one guy, and he wrote this poem, and the tagline of the poem was, "The day my freedom died." But every other line before that was really, really funny, you know? And so it's like, I don't have to worry about rent, I don't have to worry about money, I don't have to worry about this, I don't have to worry about that. I get free biscuits every day, the day my freedom died. And every line of it was like talking about things that were going on within the prison. And then that's when you realize that, you know, you put people together under the most extreme circumstances, because obviously I couldn't stand being in prison. I mean, I hated it. I hated the sound of the clicking of the keys. I hated asking permission. Like, you know, you're doing a workshop and you've got to ask permission to go to the toilet, and then they go and they take you and they unlock a door and unlock another door and they lock you in the toilet. They locked me in the toilet, you know what I mean? And there was a riot outside and I was there in the toilet banging to get out, and I couldn't deal with it. But those guys, I guess, you know, once you, the human condition is, once you, these are the rules that I've got to live by, they will then find a degree of humanity within those rules, but also they'll find a degree of inhumanity within those rules.
See, this is the amazing thing, because the peace education program is across 6 continents.
Right.
And one of the most fascinating things is that the people who have gone through the peace education program, they really try to understand what that hope is and move on in their lives. They have the lowest percentage of returnees to these correctional institutes because they actually find the hope. We have people who actually say, you know, I am in prison and I can see that my children are on the same path as I was in. could you make sure that they also get to attend the peace education program? I'm talking about genuine hope
Yeah.
emerging, because that hope also comes from inside of you, and nobody takes it away. Nobody takes it away. It is like that inmate said, we have the power to write our own story. And we do. We really, really do have the power to write our own story. The day we give it up is the day we have just lost ourselves in the ocean of questions. From now on, the questions will keep coming and coming, and you will say, why is it this way? Why is it this way? Why is it this way? And then somebody will very conveniently step in there and go, you know what? It's your karma, it's your destiny, it's your this. All these explanations start coming in. And I say, no. You have the power to write your own story. Write your own story. The story that is your own story does not need alphabet. It can be written with a pen that doesn't need ink on a paper that is made out of not wood pulp, but your heart. Your understanding becomes the ink of that pen. Your heart becomes the paper. And your understanding becomes the emotion that allows you to start writing. And who can read this? No one but you. And that's the ultimate blessing. When you understand that power, that you have the power to write your own story.
Okay. I'm going to try and personalize this, right?
Yeah.
One of the first workshops I ever did in prison, I found myself holding a class, and one of the inmates within the class, this is a what they call it, youth detention center. So the average age is about 18, right? And one of the people that was in my class I recognized him from a newspaper of the crime that he'd committed maybe a year or two ago. And he had shot my friend's cousin, right? And I remember sitting down, this is another one of those wrangling questions, right? I remember sitting down, like looking him in his eyes and just thinking to myself, wow, man, you're that dude. You're that guy that did all these things. You're that guy that, oh my God. And I don't know the cousin, but I mean, I know my friend and the pain that you caused him, right? And I had to really, like I had nightmares when I went home. I went home and had nightmares. I had to really think about, okay, if I really believe in rehabilitation and that everybody's got the right to have a chance to be rehabilitated, I've got to put aside my moral judgments and become a poet. I've actually got to almost stop being, stop the as you said, the questions, and just focus on this is someone that deserves rehabilitation the same way this person deserves rehabilitation, the same way everybody deserves a form of rehabilitation. Do you ever find yourself in that situation where you're looking at someone and the crime they might have committed, it's so repugnant and so abhorrent that you feel that little, because you sit around with someone that's murdered a few people, you can't say you don't feel that sense of danger. Do you know what I mean? That's coming
Absolutely.
from them, right? How do you cope with that, where you're offering an idea of peace, but if you find out a particular individual has done something which might have a resonance with something that you've seen or experienced in your past, that you just, you've got to almost correct yourself?
Well, look, first of all, that person committed that heinous act because he didn't think he had the power to write his own story. He thought that he has to this is how it is, this is how it happens, oh yeah, the world is against me. And this is what, I know, I go to prisons. I work, and people go, what I know Now, if I only knew before, I would not be here. So what are we doing about that? How many people do you think there are in prisons right now who would agree with that statement? If I knew what I know now, if I knew then, I wouldn't be here. How many?
A lot of them would say that, but
All right, so let's be conservative.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 million would say that, and let's say 250,000 would mean it.
Right.
Okay, 250,000. That's just quarter of the million.
Yeah.
But that's still huge. There are millions and millions and millions and millions of people incarcerated and will be incarcerated. What are we doing to educate them? A lot of judges think, oh, let's scare them.
Yeah.
This doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
Because what they have already seen is much scarier than the judge could ever imagine. So, this is all coming back to the same thing. Because we do not know who we are wrangling, and we are the rope in the tug of war. Sometimes it's being pulled this way, sometimes it's being pulled that way, and either way it's being pulled, on the good side or the bad side, it is getting stretched thin.
Yeah.
It is getting stretched, and it's getting stretched, and it's getting stretched. When do we come to a point in our society where we truly mean when we say give peace a chance? When? I mean, how bad does everything have to be before we will say, good Lord, we've been trying this war business for
Ever.
few thousand years, and it really has not been that successful. After every war, there seems to be unsurmountable problems, even though we can have a war that only lasts so many days, and we do it surgically this and surgically that, but the consequences just keep going on and on and on. Should we give peace a chance? And that is the day when things will begin to change. But to come back to your particular question, so I know there is a guy. He's sitting there. Maybe he killed my dearest friend. He murdered him cold for money. In fact, I went to this one country, and I won't mention the name. I went to this one country, and I had my first daughter. She was only a few months old. And we just went, and we were tourists, and we wanted to go see a place. And so we ended up there. Not a good idea. The next thing you know, a guy comes, and he holds a gun up, and he says, okay, take off all the jewelry you have. He collected all the cameras we had. He had us face against a wall. And I know that at that moment it wasn't easy because of my baby, my wife, my friends that were with me. Finally, he said, okay, go. So we got out of there. I see this guy's face. He had it half covered. All you could see is his eyes. So I see this guy's face. And I have to tell you one thing, that we left and we came back to our hotel, and we got into the living room, sat down. And the first thing was how thankful we were that we were still alive.
Yeah.
And then there was, like, over the period of years, will I go and say to him, oh, you needed all that more than we did, so that's why it's fine? No, it's not fine. It's not fine. It's wrong. It's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. But should I be in a position to tell this guy he's wrong? Because he knows he's wrong. He knows he's wrong.
Yeah.
Or should I tell him, listen, you really need to get your act together in life. This is not who you want to be. This is not right. In fact, there's a little story I can tell you, and this really happened to a person. He was a businessman, and he went door to door selling things. And he had a backpack. And in the backpack, he had some materials that were, my speeches and some of my videos and things like that. So he had some printed materials, and he was going door to door. And then the next thing he noticed that his backpack was missing. Somebody had stolen it. And everything he had was in his backpack, so he went looking for it. Well, he went looking, and it was a pretty shoddy area of town. So finally, he sees this guy sitting there with his backpack, reading the materials. So the guy goes up to him and he says, hey, that's my backpack. You stole it. And the guy said, this is the best thing I have ever stolen. We have to understand that people are capable of changing. People are capable of changing, providing we understand in this society. I mean, who's in charge of the society?
I really do not know.
It's a good question. It's one of those things. There was a whole bunch of people walking. So somebody said to the people at the back, said, where are you going? I said, well, we don't know where we're going. There's some people in the front. Wherever they're going, we're going there. So he went to the guys in the front. He said, well, you're the leaders. Where are you taking all these people in the back? He says, well, we don't know. They're just following us. So wherever they keep following us to, we'll keep going. Who is the follower? Who is the leader? Who's understanding the human beings? We have no respect for human beings. This is a society that we have created. What does a human being mean? Nothing. Nothing. Hey, you don't think the way I do, I'll kill you. You don't think the way I do, I'll kill you. You don't believe in my God, I will kill you. You don't look like me, I'll kill you. It's like, whoa.
It's amazing.
Wow.
The
Wow.
world we live in.
Wow, this is wrong. What is right? To feel the peace, to understand your dignity, to understand that you have the power to write your own story. And that the power to write your own stories didn't come from me. It came from what an inmate said.
Because that's another thing that I find very, like the way in which we devalue ourselves, and we place value in things that are meant to be reflections of nature. Like I had a program about, it was the Queen's Diamond Jubilee. And so they had a program where they brought out all these diamonds, and they spoke about how this diamond is absolutely rare and this diamond is perfect, and what do they call it, flawless diamond. And then they started to explain how a diamond is, it's carbon condensed over hundreds and thousands and millions and billions of years, right? You know what I mean? And I was just thinking to myself, wow, man, like maybe in a billion years time, we'll all be a diamond, all of us, like inside a little diamond, be like black, white, Muslim, Jew, Christian, Hindu, Buddhist, everything condensed, and that's the only time people see us as having any form of value. You know what I mean? Or even like say when they have a Van Gogh picture of sunflowers, right? Oh, Van Gogh painted this picture of sunflowers. Oh, wow, it's so beautiful. Leonardo da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa. Oh, wow. Let someone that looks like the Mona Lisa come sitting here, right? People to be ushering her out. Let a sunflower grow. No one's going to look at the sunflower with the same awe and wonder that they will a Van Gogh picture. A Fabergé egg. Let someone bring you a real egg and say, we can't even create a real egg. Only a chicken can create an egg, right? We can't even create a real egg, and yet someone will bring you a real egg and you'll be like, oh, I can't be bothered with that. I want the one that's been created, you know what I mean? And so I think that like, it's very, very, it's very, very easy to be distracted by the trivial. But the trivial then becomes more and more and more real and more and more and more important, you know, to the extent whereby someone will rob you or kill you for things that they think that they think that you have, as if having those things is then going to make them happy or then going to give them a sense of fulfillment. They were unfulfilled before they robbed you, and they probably ain't going to be too fulfilled after they've robbed you, because then they'll be worried about somebody else robbing them for the things they've robbed you for.
Exactly.
You know, strange world. Explain to me a little bit about what exactly World Peace Day is.
Well, World Peace Day is, again, just a recognition for people to understand the importance of peace. I think this should be every day.
Yeah.
But at least for one day, people can come together and say, look, you know what? What did I do today for peace? What did you do today for peace? What did we do today for peace? And recognizing the importance and anything that can remind us. And we need to be reminded every single day, absolutely every single day, how important peace is, and how without peace, what is happening to our society. I mean, talk about economics, talk about whatever, it's just falling apart. You know, I was thinking about it. It's like you look at these movies, and you know, if there's naughty stuff in them, they say, okay, kids over 18, you know, you have to be over 18 to be able to watch it. Below, you can't watch it, or 20 or 21 or whatever it is. And then I was thinking, and then they take these young kids and put them in a war theater.
Yeah.
And there's no G rating.
Yeah. Violence is more acceptable than sex.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about even the violent movies, but it's just like to take innocent young kids who have never seen this level of violence and all of a sudden put them in a theater where it's real. You know, I'm talking about in the wars,
right,
where they are killing people. I mean, and it's not a TV game. And to recruit people, they go, if you're good at playing the game, you must be really good. Come on, join the army.
Yeah.
And it's like, but this is not little, you know, Mr. Magoos that you're shooting at. These are real people. And they have kids and they have wives, and you see them crying and you go, geez, did I do that? I mean, it's a trauma. It's a trauma. It's a shock. And our very fabric of our society is falling apart because we don't understand the components of this fabric. That to be in harmony with your neighbor, peace is important, part of it. That's the glue. That's the only thing that's going to make it work. Understanding is a part of it. That if those things are not emphasized in our society, the peace, and this is, again, then the significance of Peace Day, but if these are the things that are not signified in our society, then that fabric is going to fall apart.
Well, that was another thing that when we were at the House of Parliament, where there was that gentleman that was from soldiers rehabilitating themselves, because that's another factor that really gets downplayed, right, is the psychological trauma that soldiers go through because they've been involved in killing, you know, or involved in war. And that's so we have the big parades and we have the guards and we have the, you know, the batons and the saluting. We love all that. Do you know what I mean? Right? That's like, right? But the idea that these guys are then going to become the future junkies, the future homeless, the future, you know, crack addicts of our society. He was an ex-soldier. He was, you know, beating his wife and all these types of things, right? Those things get very, very much downplayed. And in fact, that's another point I'd like to ask you in terms of, like, say, we talk about peace on a wider scale. What about, like, say, peace within the home, whereby domestic violence is a very, very big problem, which is only, I would say, in the last 2 years, is starting to become a factor that is being incorporated into general discussion. But it is something whereby if there's no peace in the home and the children don't see peace in the home, then they then go propagate violence.
I'm not a big believer of world peace. But I am a very big believer of personal peace. To me, peace has to begin with every individual. And so, yeah, home, that home is made out of those components of the individuals who live in it, they have to experience peace. And what is causing this domestic violence? What is causing the frustration? What is causing the problems? There are components involved here which are ridiculous that cause this. And it's a repeated thing. It doesn't just happen once. It happens again and again and again, and it perpetuates and it perpetuates because the husband is frustrated. The wife is frustrated. They have responsibilities. They have bills. Add to that all the alcohol, the drugs, and it's like every person is ready to explode before you turned on the gas and heated everything up.
Yeah.
And family should be a sacred institution. And home is a church where this sacred institution dwells. Fabric of our society. You know, all of a sudden we see it all falling apart and we get concerned. Oh my God, this is no good. You know, the kids are going to get affected by it. Of course the kids are going to get affected by it. The husband is affected by it. The wife is affected by it. The neighbors are affected by it. The police is affected by it. And you know, there's so many reality shows and you see all this violence going on and on and on and on and on. Where is the respect for human being? Where's the respect for wife? Where is the respect for the husband? And all of a sudden they've taken on the hat of husband and wife and they're no longer human beings. Well, how can that be? No, they're human beings. First, they're human beings. You're a human being. I'm a human being. Those two people who have decided to come and join together to have a family, how important it is for them to acknowledge and understand that they are human beings, that their children are human beings. They're not their children. They're human beings. They're tomorrow's adults. They're tomorrow's leaders. They're tomorrow's also the people who might fill the prisons. And this is what you don't want. What you want is a productive society. Productive towards what? Productive at least towards peace. At least towards an understanding of human beings and the basic respect that human beings deserve on the face of this earth. One of the foundations that I created, the Prem Rávát Foundation, its motto is dignity, most important, dignity, peace, and prosperity. Begin with dignity. Our society does not have dignity as part of the equation. Who are you? Who are you? You know, I sometimes in these hotels, I get in the elevator and all I'm wearing is my polo shirt and pants.
Oh, it was you that was there. All right.
And they're like, wait, get off the elevator. You know? We'll reserve this elevator for somebody important. You get off the elevator. I was like, I think it's me. You know? But because I don't look the part, I'm out. That's not understanding a human being. That's not a human being understanding a human being. What you look like, what you're wearing, what is your haircut like, you know, who are you? Well, what is a human being? A human being is not the sum of what you see just with your eyes. But a human being is much more than that. And a human being is a feeling as well.
But you do realize that people, that's another inherent flaw within man, is that we aspire towards a degree of prestige. Just the idea that someone can say, I'm better than this person, I'm better than that person.
Do you know where it all began from, don't you?
I would love to know.
Farming.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
What, the seeds in the ground and...
Well,
right.
once the farming started, everything that we have had in our society, it began from that.
Oh, the agriculture.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once
From
they were
nomadic,
farmers,
yes,
they needed protection.
Yeah.
They needed protection. Then they started coming up with the kings, the people who would fight for them, protect them, roads, money. I mean, everything, transportation, communication, everything began from those farming practices.
Those pesky farmers, man. It's all
I
their
mean,
fault.
they have brought us a lot of food, and that's a good thing. And farming is beautiful, but at the same time, I don't care. Go to the outer space. I mean, I love technology. Go to the outer space. Go and explore. Do all those things. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But don't forget the human beings. Bring the dignity to human beings. Bring the peace to human beings. Make these very important things, respect for each other, an important factor. Not just something that is talked about in some place, but make it real. Make it real. That yes, that child needs respect, that mother needs respect, that father needs respect, and that all these names that we have for people. You are a teacher, you are a police officer, you are a pilot, you are a lawyer. No, human beings are not that. They're much more than that. And always look beyond those little labels that we place on people. That those labels are hurting us. They're not helping us. That yes, we want prestige, but there is so much to be proud of. When somebody can come up with that little statement that you have the power to write your own story, I think that's amazing. Amazing idea, concept, thought, understanding, and that deserves respect. And we do have the power to write our own story. And we don't have to fall in this pitfall of he's more prestigious because he is so-and-so. You know, I always say, every time there is a politician, you're going to come to some village in India, they clean up the whole place. I said, wait a minute. That should not be. Otherwise, how will he see what really needs to happen?
There's a famous Billy Connolly joke where he says, everywhere the Queen goes, it smells of fresh paint.
Yeah, but, you know, the main thing is that everybody wants to be a VIP. Everybody wants to be important. But you are important. See, that's the thing. You are a VIP. There's nobody like you on the face of this earth. And there'll nobody be ever like you on the face of this earth. You are absolutely unique. You are more precious and more unique than anything that they think is unique.
Oh, thank you so much.
But that's everyone. And you don't know it. Then that's a shame. That's a shame. You should know it. That you are unique. There has never been, since Homo erectus, there has never been anybody like you, and in a few billion years that the earth is going to disappear, there'll never be again anybody like you. You're on a unique planet, a unique being, a unique person, a unique opportunity to know yourself, to be fulfilled. You're uniquely in that place.
Good stuff. How do you relax? These are huge concepts that are just swirling around your mind, and these are huge ideas that are being put forward and emanated from, you know, the use of your wonderful language. But in terms of like just downtime, turn on the TV, maybe just, I don't know, watch a couple of cartoons, watch something, you know, how do you chill out?
Just like anyone else. I mean, I like restoring cars.
Right.
I like to get in, find some old cars.
Yeah.
And take them all apart and completely rebuild the engine and rebuild everything that I can. And so I like rebuilding and restoring automobiles. I like photography.
Oh, right.
I like making videos. I like making music. I like writing poetry. You know, it's nothing that is going to, it's not something that's going to make me relax. I just have to be in a place where I can be, and then I can relax.
Do you feel that when you're flying? Because I was wondering, like, you know, you speak a lot about flying, and I was wondering if maybe just the physical act of just being slightly away from the earth right, might cause a degree of comfort. And then maybe when you land, you're like, damn, I'm back here again. You know what I mean? I've got to deal with these folks again.
No. There's a lot of responsibility involved in flying, and a lot of decision making, and a lot of, there's a lot of stuff goes on that a lot of people don't appreciate.
Yeah.
It's like, the guy gives you a frequency and it's like, was the frequency read back properly? Was it punched in properly? What's happening with the airplane? Because all these things, all the problems always happen when you least expect them. So you got to be one up. And it's like, okay, I'm watching this, I'm watching this, I'm watching this, I'm watching this. And, it's fun to fly. Glider flying is a lot different. There's not too many gauges and there's no engine, and it's just you and the wind. And I like to fly gliders, and that can be very, very relaxing. But a lot of that relaxing is after you're finished with it. It's like, ooh, quit, it's finished. I'm still alive. But if you're not basically relaxed inside, from the inside. I mean, look, there is the screen and there is the movie playing on the screen. And if you really think that there is a real train on that screen, you're wrong. It's really coming from somewhere else. And there is a projector. And in the old days, there used to be the lamp, and then there was the film. And that was being... and piano player. But what you are seeing on the screen is not on the screen. It's coming from somewhere else. We too are just a screen on the outside. What we are seeing played out on the screen is really coming from somewhere else, and it's coming from inside of us. And when you're not happy inside, it doesn't matter. People go, oh, it's so peaceful. It's so peaceful. And so what is peaceful? They'll be looking at a sunset. And they'll go, oh, this is so peaceful. So why don't they just make a big banner of a setting sun and surround the violent crowd with it and see if they think it's peaceful? It won't be.
No.
It won't be. Because it has nothing to... all that stuff looks good because
you're at peace.
You are at peace. But if you're not at peace, what difference does it make?
That's the one thing I remember when I first went to LA, right? And I'm, coming from where I'm at in London and going to LA, it was like, wow, this place is so beautiful, so amazing, whatever. And then you meeting the Hollywood stars, and you go to these like amazing parties. And I meet people that are like millionaires, right? Like crying, like proper, drenching in tears. You know what I mean? Searching for the next line of Coke, searching for the next vodka, whatever it is that they can do to dull some pain. And they're living a lifestyle which on paper is amazing. Do you know what I mean? Like if I go and tell my friends, oh my God, I met this person, and they know that they've been in this film and that film and whatever, or they've done this, that and everything. And then you meet the actual person themselves, and it's literally almost as if they're as you said, I've seen the kid knocking around a football, with more joy than this person. And I couldn't equate it. I just could not equate, like, how can this person be unhappy, surrounded by so much opulence, surrounded by people waiting on their beck and call and stuff like that. And yet, what's the point? You know what I mean? You may as well just be, you may as well be in a slum somewhere. Do you know what I'm saying? Right? At least you got an excuse, But and that was when I started to realize, I suppose, that I think man is part spiritual, part material. And we've got material needs. So obviously, we need shelter, we need, warmth, we need food, air, and all those type of things. And then we have a spiritual need, which is beyond the material need. And you feed the material all the time, but you don't very rarely feed the spiritual.
Yeah, but spiritual can be vague at sometimes. And the need that I talk about, the peace and the fulfillment and knowledge and understanding, they're as practical as having water, as practical as having some pasta. They're practical as having, and delicious as having French fries.
Because you're involved in feeding projects, aren't you?
Yes, absolutely. But to me, knowledge needs to be practical, not some abstract concept. Knowledge of the self, knowledge of your being, peace, and saying, yes, I feel peace. No, yes, it would be wonderful to have peace. I mean, you wouldn't go, I would be wonderful for all of us hungry people in the world to have some food. No, we need food. And as real as eating that food needs to be, so does peace need to be in our lives. As real as water, the quenching of the thirst needs to be, same thing needs to happen in our lives with quenching the thirst for knowledge, for quenching the thirst for understanding, for quenching the thirst of knowing who we are. We need to absolutely understand the power that we have to write our own story. No questions. No questions. No abstract. No discussion. Absolute, clear, vivid, succinct, and so then we can move.
So how do you then go about bringing this in terms of practical terms?
Practical terms, first, do you want that? Do you want it? That's what I would ask you. Do you want it? Do you want that?
Do I want it? I don't know. I say, I've got the wrangling. You're talking to the wrangler here, mate. You know what I mean? I've got the angel on one side, the devil on the other. You know what I mean, right? That's how I go through life.
So what's the good news?
The good news is the opposite of the bad news.
No. So what is the good news in the devil and the angel?
Right? What's the good news? Well, I said the good news is the opposite of the bad news.
But what is the good news?
There
is the devil,
that's it.
And there is the angel.
Yeah.
The good news is that there is an angel. Because if there wasn't one, the devil would have you. I'm not trying to scare you or anything. I don't believe in devil.
Right.
But it's the angel that's keeping the devil at bay. And the wrangling goes on. Wrangling is not so bad. No wrangling is the worst.
Right.
No wrangling is the worst. Now, remember what a story I told you? What do you practice? You'll get good at it.
Yeah.
What do you practice? Do you practice cheering for the angel? Or do you practice cheering for the devil? And sometimes, or do you find yourself just cheering and you don't even know for whom you're cheering? Whatever you do in your life, you're going to get good at. And if that is true, if that is true, which I know it is, we better bloody well make sure we are doing what we really want to do, exercising that power to write our own story.
Interesting. Yeah. I saw some like pictures of you because you've been speaking since the age of 4.
Yeah.
You know, and you like I'm looking at some picture of you and you were the boy genius, as it were, right? You know, how can this young boy be espousing such wisdom? And I wonder, when you, now that you are, 21 now, right? I got you.
No, much more than that.
I mean, a couple of years,
I was
right?
21 once.
Yeah. When you look at that young boy, or if you ever do, but I was just wondering to myself, when you look at, would there be any words of wisdom or comfort or advice that you would offer, if you could offer that young boy? Because I just think to myself, like, do you feel you've missed out on a childhood?
Yeah. Yeah, I had a very unique life. Very, very, very different. Because even as soon as the holiday would start, summer vacation or winter vacation would start, I'd be out doing tours.
Yeah.
And then day before the school started, would come back just enough time to get the new books and get new shoes, a new school bag perhaps, if you were lucky. And out next day in school, and not a word of what happened. Because there I was just like any other kid, and that was it. And, we would have friends, and you have this, you have that. So to me, and that's just every year.
And that was the norm for you.
That was the norm.
So as I can understand why you would then look at a child or look at, maybe your own children and then just sort of see them just, I don't know, maybe just enjoy the frivolities of life, as it were, because that's a heavy weight to bear from 4 onwards.
Yeah, now I'm a grandfather, and so I'd look at my grandson, and he just does his thing. And his mommy sometimes is like, oh, no. And I was like, just let him be. Just let him just do his thing. It's important to do your thing. Yeah. And learn in life that it's important. And for me, in a way, it was such a beautiful privilege that I could go and talk to people about that peace is inside of them, and that peace is important. And without it, that we are incomplete, and whoever we are. And then when I came to the West, there was a lot of like, well, how could this kid be talking? Even in India, 4, 5, 6, 7, people will go, he's not talking. He's just lip syncing. They didn't know how difficult it is to lip sync. But he was like, he's just lip syncing. And I wasn't lip syncing. And adults would say, oh yeah, he's a fake, he is a this, he's not gonna last very long. And here I've been doing it for 52 years. I'm 56 years old. I've been doing it for 52 years. I'm still here. That little 4-year-old boy still talks. And maybe talks from a body that's a little older, but the heart hasn't changed. And the heart should stay the same.
Wow. But if there was any advice or words of comfort you could offer to, because I'm sure that there must have been some moments where, like, I think that with the progression of age does come a degree of understanding that can only be born from experience, right?
Yeah.
And so if there was just like any, I suppose, obstacles or any things where you might have been, I don't know, let's say 13, I don't know, maybe you might have been worried about a spot on your forehead, I don't really know, do you know what I mean, right?
Yeah,
but if there was any like words of comfort you could give, like when you see that little boy, because I'm looking at you and you're surrounded by thousands of people, right? And I'm just going, whoa, right? I was playing with, I don't know, Star Wars figures when, you know what I mean, when I was that age, right? You know what I mean? If there was just any words of, I don't know, comfort you could offer that little boy, what would you say?
There'll be good times, there'll be bad times. Hang on to your hat, because ultimately, the happiness that you want, you will find it within you. There will be times when you'll be disappointed, because when you are that child, 8 years, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, 11 years, foundations are being built. People don't understand that foundations are being built. And if it's going to be a palace that'll be erected, or it's going to be some building that's going to fall in 2 days, that's when it is being decided. It is so, so important for the child to really be a child when they can be a child. It's not going to be that much longer where I see kids, they're not kids anymore. They have little bodies and they're already grown up. And if there is no foundation, that building will topple. And if prisons are anything to go by, there's a great amount of evidence that there's a lot of toppling going on. The foundations that are supposed to be laid by father and mother are not there. People get married, then they have a child, and all of a sudden it's like, oh boy, that's a surprise. What do we do now? And it's like, no. Bringing life onto this earth is an incredible act of responsibility. It's just too much. And what you really have to do is just have hope and have understanding that, people will start to understand someday when they start to see themselves as that 4-year-old. Right now I see that 4-year-old and I'm like, you know what? You're going to have a different life. but it'll be okay. There'll be a lot of things you won't have, but it'll be okay. It'll be okay because so far you keep believing in what you do. And you understand what you're doing. You'll be okay. So, good times. Good times, bad times, but good times. And more of the good times.
Yeah. Oh, well, Prem, thank you very, very much for
Thank you.
allowing me, I guess, into the mind, you know what I mean, of the great Prem Rávát. Thank you very much.
Thank you.